Now, with that in mind, let's cross to SABC News reporter Khayelihle Khumalo to tell us more about what's to be expected, the implications for South Africans, Khaya, given the announcement by President Donald Trump. Of course, we're not the only ones who were mentioned. We weren't necessarily singled out for this reciprocal tariff regime, but we haven't been on the best of terms with the United States, or at least with the Trump administration, since they came to office. So what are we anticipating today?
Well, certainly, Sakina. I mean, we've seen a global reaction from the EU to so many countries around the world, really just expressing their great deal of concern in light of these tariffs, especially when you talk about the global economy that is still in the doldrums. As you know, that in South Africa, the US is South Africa's second largest trading partner. I mean, you talk about 600 companies from the US having a footprint here in South Africa. So, and obviously, there's quite a lot at stake. But we're going to hear from the two ministers in terms of the country's response in navigating a very complex environment, especially as we know that when you talk about trade preferential agreement, that is AGOA, mainly in the sub-Saharan Africa, and the automotive sector here in South Africa benefiting quite substantially from that particular instrument. So now there's a lot of trepidation and anxiety as to what is going to happen now. But we're going to hear from the ministers in terms of the country's response, in terms of really just mitigating the impact, especially because when you talk about the jobs in South Africa, that has always been the primary focus for South Africa. But Sakina, like you said, Washington and Pretoria, I mean, we've seen the headwinds, we've seen the expulsion of South Africa's ambassador in Washington, but really just to look at maybe just in terms of the expectations for today, we're joined by Minister Pakstau's spokesperson. That's, of course, Mr. Yamgelas. So once again, sir, thank you so much indeed for your time. Maybe without really letting the cat out of, the bag, so to speak, let's look at the expectations. What can we expect in terms of the country's response? After all, this is a very key market for South Africa.
Definitely. Good morning to your viewers at home. Definitely, we view this the market as a significant one. We respect the trade, and we understand it's a significant trade with the US, and especially when we even look at the auto industry, which in that AGOA pack we actually contribute 64%. So we value this, and we also understand it as some of the beneficiation packs that we get from it is that they allow us to create jobs in our country. So we understand that the trade relationship we have with the US as the one that is mutually beneficial. And therefore, that's why we are interested on nurturing it and making sure that it prosper. We are engagement with the US, and we have not thrown the towel. Today, however, our principals, Minister Ronald Lamola and Minister Pakstau, will give us a sense of where to from now.
And just, Yamgela, I mean, obviously we've seen the clarion call that South Africa is deepening trade with other parts of the world. I mean, for example, you look at other instruments like Continental Free Trade Area in Africa. Some of the options that you're looking at in terms of really just making sure that you're able to bolster other markets, so to speak.
The geopolitical environment is definitely forcing us to think outside the box and also try to think more broadly. And I can say with you that it's going to be critical for South Africa to look at this diversification strategy and intensify it. But also it's going to be very important for us to make Africa Free Trade Agreement to work so that we can be able to actually take advantage and also be able to participate within trade, regional trade. But also we need to look at the regions where we might have not capitalized on the advantages that we have on them, and also the trade advantages that are displayed within those regions. We need to look at issues we need to look at countries like Japan, which are welcoming when we engage with them. We need to look into EU Commissioner. So we will need to package ourselves in terms of actually being able to tap into those markets and also being able to use our advantage and also be able to to put ourselves in a position whereby we can have mutual beneficial trade benefits within other regions and other countries.
All right, Mr. Fanisa, thank you so much indeed. So, Sakina, he's with Minister Parkstow's office, really just giving us a snapshot in terms of the expectations during the course of the day, and we'll certainly keep you posted. It's starting around 10:30. So with that, back to you in studio.
Thanks you so much, Kaya. And of course, a very important meeting, that one, and a briefing, I should say, given that reintroduction of the US-South Africa Bilateral Relations Act as well.